Hello and welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for May of 2023. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas, and I'm in San Francisco, California. Let's take a look at what's happening in May.
Hey, Sag. What's up in the realm of your horoscope this month? Well, it's May, and I want to tell you what Pluto is up to, because he's sneaked on out of Capricorn into Aquarius, and now he's turning retrograde and beginning a deep transformation process, really, for all of us this year. But having snuck on ahead into your third house, there's something you should know, which is that it's time to begin thinking about how communication needs to transform in your life. Now, Pluto's a super slow-moving planet. He's only dipping forward into Aquarius for a couple of months this year, going to return to Capricorn and mop up over there later in the year, really starting in the summer. And then we'll move back into Aquarius and proceed to traverse Aquarius for at least a decade, starting in 2024. So what I'm telling you now is really just a hint of what the next decade, what is coming in the next decade. But if you pay attention, it can really equip you for that. Now, when Pluto enters into the third house, this is the house of communication. It's also the house of the people that are right around you on an everyday basis. And those relationships may seem superficial, but they can also be really important, like relationships with your neighbors or your housemates or your siblings. And so Pluto is going to bring some transformation to those relationships, which could mean a deepening of intimacy, of being real, of being close, and that's going to unfold over more than a decade. So let's not rush there, but it is on the way. And then this is the house of communication. And so while Pluto is here, he's going to call into question, how do you communicate? How do you receive other people's communications? How can it be bettered? How can it be deepened? And maybe during the next decade, you'll be paying more attention to the deeper layers of communication underneath it all, the subliminal communication, the subtext, the lines between the lines. So that could really be a theme this month. Just a hint of what is to come in the next decade. So also on May 1st, Juno, which has been traveling along through your 6th house, moves on into your 7th house, the domain of partnerships of all kinds. And Juno really loves to be here because she's all about partnership as well. She's a very social creature, Juno is. And the 7th house is the house of partnerships, whether that is spousal relationships or partnerships that you undertake in your career, perhaps with a business partner, or perhaps if you work in any way as an agent, a consultant, or an advocate. This transit could be really, really good for you. And if you are married, this transit can also be really great because Juno's going to be here for about 2 months, bringing a greater sense of fairness and balance to your relationships. She really likes relating with people on the level. And so this could be a really good time for negotiating some things in your marriage that maybe you've been hesitant to bring up, for bringing your marriage to a state of feeling like it's more equal, and a really good time for doing some negotiations with your business partner as well. And it can really amp up your social life, especially if you are single and looking. This can signal a 2-month period that's really, really good for getting yourself out there and expanding your social life and having some wonderful, stimulating conversations with people that you could end up in a relationship with. And then the third thing I want to talk about before I pass the ball over to Julia is Ceres. Ceres is the asteroid goddess that connects us with the physical world. Her core themes are food, body, and money. And she went retrograde back in February, which I talked about in the horoscope that month, and entered into a financial rebalancing period. So if over the last couple of months since February, your finances have gotten into something of a mess, something of a tangle, and you've had to go back to the drawing board or perhaps the spreadsheet in order to untangle the mess, well, this transit of Ceres would probably be why. It may have something to do with groups and community, because Ceres first went retrograde in your 11th house, but where it's really landed ultimately is in your place of business, your career, your public reputation. Ceres has now retrograded into Virgo in your 10th house and is probably demanding that you do some cleaning up of how you manage your money in your business or the money that you earn from your business, and maybe bringing up some questions in the back of your mind about the value that you bring to your place of work and whether you're adequately compensated for that. And so this whole trajectory of Ceres could be very much about union disputes, for example, impacting the place where you work. So now is the time to begin to untangle that stuff and to really bring all of the detail, orientation, and all of the integrity that you can muster to those conversations. And on May 6th or 7th, depending on your time zone, Ceres goes direct and begins to make her way out of your 10th house, untangling things as she goes. And by the time we get to the end of this month, she's going to be approaching her regular speed. And you should, by that point, have a plan that you can go on with. Hey, Julia, what's up for the Sages of the world with Mercury, Venus, and Mars?
Yeah, well, hey there, Sagittarius. Mercury, our friend Mercury, starts the month retrograde. And this is all happening in your 6th house of work, organization, and health. So Mercury retrogrades, we all know that they can be times of miscommunications, times of review. For you specifically, this is going to be in 6th house matters. So you might be having miscommunications at your workplace. Maybe you're scheduling a meeting with your boss and you both have a different time and you end up not meeting up. The 6th house, since it's the house of health, might mean that you have to go back and review something in your health and your life. This might be kind of a tricky period if you're like having to make some clarity out of blood work, or trying to put a health strategy in place. You might have to go back over it and review it at some point too. Now on May 1st, Mercury directly conjoins the Sun while it's retrograde. So actually, let me say that better. Mercury conjoins the Sun while retrograde, and we call that Lesser Epiphany Day. This is a time of insights and revelations, especially with all of this murkiness of our Mercury retrograde. So yeah, you might have some insights into your health. You might have some insights into the miscommunications that have been going on in your life. Now, by May 14th, Mercury finally goes direct. Give it about a week after that for the full close of the retrograde season, because it takes that long for Mercury to get back up to speed in the sky. Now, Venus, our friend, she represents love and beauty. She starts the month in your 7th house, and this is lovely for your long-term relationship. It's a time of just having more harmony in it and maybe falling in love with your partner all over again. And it's a good time for dating if you happen to be single. By May 7th, Venus enters your 8th house. This is a house of shared finances, like the finances you share with your partner, your family, or even institutions like banks. And it's also a house of mystery, of social taboo, of research and investigation. So with Venus here for most of this month, you might be very drawn to taboos, finding more pleasure in taboos, which can also include sex with Venus in this house, and maybe even a little bit of of luck, especially with shared finance. You know, maybe your partner gets a raise and shares it with you, or maybe you know, your family organizes their estate around you, for example, or a loan comes through for you. So this can be a nice little money time in your life too. Mars, the final planet I want to talk about, he's also in the 8th house for the first 3 weeks of the month. So there's going to be a little bit of push and pull energy with both Venus in there and Mars in there at the same time. Now, Mars is a planet that can represent our drive, but it can also represent conflict as well. So Mars in the 8th can mean that you're not seeing eye to eye with other people regarding money. You know, maybe you know, for example, maybe there's kind of a little bit of an argument about money in your life because Mars is the warrior planet after all. This is a fabulous time to do a lot of research, especially into money in your life, because the 8th house is all about investigation and things that are underneath the surface of things. So you can really, really dig down deep and get the answers that you need now. And Mars in the 8th house might be a time where you're very sort of driven by social taboos as well. I think both Mars and Venus in this house can be a very sexually arousing month for you too. Then by May 20th, Mars enters your 9th house for the rest of the month. This is a house of travel. This is a house of education, legal affairs too. So Mars in the 9th house, you know, can sometimes run into frustrations with legal things. Maybe you get a ticket on your car, you know, if you parked it in the wrong spot, for example. And it can be a frustrating time at school if you're getting higher education. But this can be a time where you're driven to sort of broaden your horizons. This would be a great time for a very adventurous, physical, athletic, new activity, like maybe going for a hike, or maybe, you know, something, maybe going on a trip where you get something athletic out of the way, like a yoga trip, or you know, maybe going really far on your bike, for example. That would be a wonderful use of this transit, because, you know, you're just going to want to go out and explore the world, and that's all well and good, but it can be frustrating if there are obligations and things holding you back.
Adventure sounds good though.
It does. It certainly does.
Hi, Jamie here. I just wanted to say thank you for watching this video. And if you're enjoying it, please consider becoming a patron on Patreon. Your support helps keep this content free, and you can also get access to workshops where I will cast your chart live in the workshop. The link can be found in the description below. Thanks again, and let's get back to the video.
Well, I have 2 moons to talk about, beginning with the lunar eclipse in Scorpio, which lands right here in your 12th house. Now, there are several reasons why this is a particularly difficult moon. It is a full moon, which we know because the moon and the sun are opposite to each other. That's what makes it a full moon. But it's a moon in Scorpio, which means that it's already sort of loaded with intense emotions, which can easily veer into the negative emotions. But it's also an eclipse, which intensifies it quite a bit. Eclipses are times when we are made to look at our shadow, and lunar eclipses in particular make us look at our shadow, which we'd rather ignore and put behind us. They make us look at our shadow through the emotions that we feel. This particular eclipse is also a releasing eclipse, which we know because the eclipsed planet, the moon, is located close to the south node, the releasing part of the nodal axis. So this is a releasing eclipse, suggesting that it's better to release those emotions than to hang on to them. Now, this moon is also landing in your 12th house, so you could absolutely hide how you're feeling during this eclipse. You could have this as an entirely internal experience that nobody sees. You could absolutely hide it. And I'm not even saying that's a bad thing, but I am saying that this is going to bring up some really deep emotions from deep within you where you don't usually look. And it could bring up some really ancient trauma from childhood or from your family. It could bring out a family secret, and it could be really messy. You may find yourself drawing on the stability of your work life to kind of ground you as you go through it. Now, eclipses are brief, as moons are brief. It'll be particularly intense for the several days around May 5th. And I think what you need to do is just, try not to do anything that causes the effects of this eclipse to linger, like blow up at your workmates, or have just a giant tantrum or a meltdown where the people that you work with can see it happen. It's much better to, I think, have these kinds of feelings in private so that you can maintain that cheerful demeanor that you like to have, Sagittarius. But if there's like one special person that you can share what you're feeling with, that would be a really, really great outlet, because remember, this is a releasing eclipse. It's going to definitely bring up feelings of vulnerability and powerlessness, maybe even paranoia. We've made videos about both of the moons this month. This moon we've dubbed You Are Not in Control. And there are videos about them both on our monthly forecast page at our website, pandoraastrology.com. And I strongly suggest you go and check that out. Now, the other moon is not an eclipse, because this eclipse on the 5th signals the end of the current eclipse season. Eclipses happen in pairs, usually around every 6 months. And so that eclipse season is coming to an end, thank goodness. And the second moon of this month is actually really lovely. It's fantastic. And it involves a moon in Taurus, where the moon loves to be. It's in your 6th house. I think you're going to really like this moon. So the moon and the sun are together in your 6th house, and there is so much harmony in this moon. They connect with Mars in a harmonious way, with Neptune, with Ceres, and even with Pluto. And we're calling this one Gradual Transformation Fuels Intuitive Action. And that's really just a sort of a gathering together of keywords into a single phrase that encompasses all of the wonderful harmony implicit in this moon. It's very stabilizing, it's very grounding, it's very supportive, it's very nurturing. And the fact that this lands in your 6th house of health, work, service, and personal organization is pretty great, because that really brings a ton of support to you setting up healthy routines, stabilizing those healthy routines, taking good care of your body and your household, being more organized. You may find that there's support for those kinds of projects at home and also at work too. And remember, I said during the other moon that I was describing, the eclipse, that the sun is over here in your 6th house. And so the job may give you some grounding and support while you're coping with that, tailspin that the eclipsed moon might send you into. And then the second moon of this month could be seen as the playing out, or the denouement of that, the after effects, which are really quite positive in your workplace. So much energy here in Taurus in your 6th house, bringing really a lot of your attention to the workplace and to getting better organized and being just a healthier, living a healthier lifestyle in general. So the sun will, which has been in this very full and busy 6th house in the earlier part of the month, moves on into your 7th house on May 21st, along with some other things. And so this Taurus formation, like a giant cloud, is beginning to break up, and some of the planets are moving on over here into the 7th house later in the month, most particularly the sun. So this is a seasonal change. When the sun moves into a new sign, it's a new season, and the sun will enter into a new house and bring the sunlight of high quality attention to that arena. And this is a really great thing to do while the sun is in a given house, is to put your attention on it, your most positive attention on the themes of that house. And this is a house of partnership. As Julia said, it's a house of relating and connecting. And I talked about Juno being here. Julia talked about Venus being here. So the seventh house is really, really benefited this month. And if you are single and looking, while the sun is passing through this house is a really great time to dress up, show off, be seen, be social, and engage with people socially, so that you can have a nice, deep dating pool to search for a partner in. And if you're in a relationship, this is a really good month for putting your attention on your partner so that your partnership can thrive and flourish, and you can feel like you really shine in your partnership, and like your partner is getting all the attention that they deserve. And it's just such a wonderful little baby, really just a month-long renaissance for your relationship as the sun is passing along this house.
Well, that's all for today. If you love Pandora Astrology's free and informative horoscopes, please do hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share our horoscopes with your friends.
We make these horoscopes for you for free, and if you appreciate it, supporting us on Patreon is the best way to show it. Share our horoscopes with your friends too. Enjoy your May, and until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos.
Bye-bye.